I teach at the Science Leadership Academy, which is a partnership school between the Franklin Institute and the School District of Philadelphia. We are a 9 through 12 public school, but we do school quite differently. I moved there primarily to be part of a learning environment that validated the way that I knew that kids learned, and that really wanted to investigate what was possible when you were willing to kind of let go of some of the paradigms of the past, of information scarcity when my grandmother was in school and when my father was in school, and even when I was in school, into a moment where we have information surplus. And so what do you do when the information is all around you? Why do you have kids come to school if they no longer have to come there to get the information? In Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia, we have a one-to-one laptop program, so the kids are bringing in laptops with them every day, taking them home, getting access to information. And here's the thing that you need to get comfortable with when you've given the tool to acquire information to students, is that you have to be comfortable with this idea of allowing kids to fail as part of the learning process. We deal right now in the educational landscape with just an infatuation with the culture of one right answer that can be properly bubbled on the average multiple choice test, and I am here to share with you, it is not learning. That is the absolute wrong thing to ask. To tell kids to never be wrong, to ask them to always have the right answer, doesn't allow them to learn. So we did this project, and this is one of the artifacts of the project. I almost never show them off because of the issue of the idea of failure. My students produced these infographics as a result of a unit that we decided to do at the end of the year, responding to the oil spill. I asked them to take the examples that we were seeing of the infographics that existed in a lot of mass media, and take a look at what were the interesting components of it, and produce one for themselves of a different man-made disaster from American history, and they had certain criteria to do it. They were a little uncomfortable with it because we'd never done this before, and they didn't know exactly how to do it. They can talk, they are very smooth, and they can write very, very well, but asking them to communicate ideas in a different way was a little uncomfortable for them. But I gave them the room to just do the thing. Go create, go figure it out. Let's see what we can do. And the student that persistently turns out the best visual product did not disappoint. This was done in like 2 or 3 days. And this is the work of the student that consistently did it. When I sat the students down, I said, "Who's got the best one?" And they immediately went, "There it is." Didn't read anything. There it is. And I said, "Well, what makes it great?" And they were like, "Oh, the design is good, and he's using good color, and there's some, and they went through we processed out loud, and I said, "Go read it." And they're like, "Oh, that one wasn't so awesome." And then we went to another one. He didn't have good visuals, but had great information, and spent an hour talking about the learning process. Because it wasn't about whether or not it was perfect or whether or not it was what I could create. It asked them to create for themselves. And it allowed them to fail, process, learn from, and when we do another round of this in my class this year, they will do better this time. Because learning has to include an amount of failure, because failure is instructional in the process. There are a million pictures that I could click through here and had to choose carefully, this is one of my favorites, of students learning, of what learning can look like in a landscape where we let go of the idea that kids have to come to school to get the information, but instead ask them what they can do with it. Ask them really interesting questions. They will not disappoint. Ask them to go to places, to see things for themselves, to actually experience the learning, to play, to inquire.